Greetings and salutations, everybody. I have returned from a brutal weekend of karting, 24 hours of Buckmore Park, and you'll see a video on that in the future, but today we are ready for another episode of F1 2020, My Team Career Mode Series, and this is... what episode? The Hungarian Grand Prix, forget for a second there, but we are going to move swiftly into this Grand Prix, approaching a crucial stage in the championship, the halfway point of the season, and things are hotting up between myself and my teammate, Sebastian Vettel. Had a bad race last time out, P7, worst result of the season by far. I believe Hamilton won, and Mercedes are starting to get a little bit of momentum in their corner. So we as a team need to stop that, and we're going to invest heavily into the development going forward. So what does that mean for the rest of the series? We're gonna go drag reduction. I think we could have gone for ultimate weight reduction, but given that we've got Spa and Monza coming up, the ultimate drag reduction upgrade will be more beneficial at those two circuits. Then later on in the season, we can work on the ultimate weight reduction upgrade, which will be massive. Anyway, fast forwarding time in the activity timeline, getting towards the Hungarian Grand Prix. We had a reliability upgrade come in at the very start of this episode. I think that was for the energy store, so that'll make life a little bit easier. So look forward to that. I want to get to a point where we don't need to rely on using extra engine components to get us through the season. Reliability is very, very good for our car, but even the best car needs to take extra engine components. Hopefully that's not the case for us, but yeah, just trying to strike that perfect balance between reliability and, of course, performance. But here we are, heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix practice. P6, 7/10 away from Sebastian Vettel. I'm not going to read too much into that. We certainly are going to be stronger here at this race weekend compared to Silverstone, which is always a weak one for the player. But Hungary, I feel like, is kind of somewhere in the middle. I feel like we could still do really well here and potentially get a race win, chuck on all the downforce, and then go from there. This track should suit our car, given how much downforce this thing can naturally create. But we're getting ready for qualifying now for the Hungarian Grand Prix, just making sure all of the administrative bits are sorted out. Gearbox is fine. We're going to use the first column of engine components because this isn't a power track, so it just makes sense for management of that to get that out of the way. But it's time for qualifying. So here we go then for the Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying. We've jacked up all the downforce and we are ready to go flying around this circuit without having to brake. How nice would that be? That would not be nice for the drivers and their necks. Even doing karting yesterday, doing mundane speeds, was hard on my neck. Anyway, here we are, ready for qualifying. Qualifying 2, I wasn't even looking at the screen there to see where we actually got in Q1, but we got through anyway. That's the most important part. We ramp it up for Q2 and for Q3. 1 minute 12.2. I think that's a tenth away from what I managed in Q1, if I'm not mistaken. But the first run is always done on a used set of softs, and that's just to minimize the amount of sets that we use heading into Q3. I like to have 2 sets available for the final part of qualifying, just to give myself the best chance. Sometimes I feel like there's just too much pressure if you just leave everything to do for the end of the session. If you just do one run at the end, that's when things can go wrong. So even if I put in an absolute stinker of a lap at the start of the session that's like a second slower than everyone else, at least it's a bank of time. I like having that, I don't know, that banker in the bank, I guess, so I can push harder later. And it's worked. At 1 minute 11.1. Okay, maybe that initial banker time that I said wasn't a tenth off of what I did in Q1. Anyway, don't worry about that. We're through into Q3 with P3. Red Bull are looking very strong. They've come out of the woodwork here. and flying at this racetrack. They've always done well here. I remember Devin Butler in F1 2019 career mode, absolutely flourishing here. So let's see if Red Bull can get a surprise win here. Heading into Q3, 1:11.2. I believe that is the lap that was 1/10 slower than Q2. I remember one of the laps being that. But anyway, we move on to the end of the session, and George Russell, who has recently rejoined Formula 1 in Ferrari, has just put in the fastest time of the weekend, a 1:10.5. Absolutely flying for the young Briton. And we're going to see if we can challenge that. That is a mighty fast time, 7/10 faster than what I managed. Anyway, I decided to get a thumbnail for this video, and that happened. My car is teleported off the racetrack and was in the paddock somewhere in a truck. I literally played around with this for like half an hour in photo mode. So if you want to see a video, a separate video of me exploring the racetrack, let me know, because I can do that. But I also did it for Brazil on F1 2019. Maybe I could combine the two videos together. But anyway, I was off exploring in photo mode for like literally half an hour, 40 minutes. And this is me rejoining, a little bit cold to the game again. So let's see if we can put in a good lap after... yeah, I really shouldn't have done that. I should have concentrated at the task at hand. But let's see if we can gun for pole position anyway. End of the session now. Checkered flag is out. We were in P2, apparently. But now everyone is improving. Vettel, Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen and Ricciardo. They're all crossing the line now as they go through the last corner. Both the Renaults there. Ricciardo's going to cross the line. Doesn't improve. So it's going to be P5 at worst for us in this Hungarian Grand Prix. But we're going to see if we can challenge for pole position. Like I said, I need 7/10 in order to beat George Russell. We're currently up by 2, so it's not looking too good at this stage. We run through the third sector, losing a little bit of time, not maximizing the full width of the track on the exit of that very fast right-hander into the third sector. This car is really good at low speed with the way that we've set up the car, using higher gears to minimize the wheel spin, using second and third, or second gear is a non-issue, because you just get too much wheel spin. Out of the final corner, we improve by 3.5 tenths. It's not pole position. I thought George Russell did a 10.5. He's done a 10.8. Either way, it's still pole position, and we're only 600ths away in the end. I'm not seeing things. I swear George Russell did a 10.5. Anyway, I will take that. We're ahead of our teammate, which is where we need to be. But now this championship fight is getting complicated. Now other cars starting to get into the mix and displacing Vettel, which is making life very tasty. If we can get into the lead of this race, Vettel is going to find it very, very hard to overtake the likes of Hamilton and George Russell. So there could be a big points gain if things go our way. So let's see for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of the Formula 1 World Championship. We don't expect too many retirements at this track. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher. He made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
I swear that's a glitch that needs to be fixed with the whole qualifying. You see one time pop up, and then at the end of the session, the times are different. The game is a bit of a mess at the moment, especially online. But let's not get into that. Let's get into the Hungarian Grand Prix instead. Softs to mediums, that's the personalized strategy. Low tire wear for our car, so we can maximize that. And we're going to take out all of the fuel, because a lot of the lap you can just spend in lean, so we can run with a lighter car and be faster because of it. So here we go then to 5 red lights, starting from P3 on the grid. Let's see if we can take the fight to Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. It's been a good start. Hamilton tucking into the slipstream of George Russell. He's going very defensive as we head into turn 1. I'm going to go round the outside of both of these guys potentially. Maybe gone in a little bit too deep, lost the place to Valtteri Bottas. And it's going to be 3 wide as we head down this mini straight down into turn 2. Still side by side with both the Mercedes. We have the outside, and we're going to swoop around the outside. But no, we've been swiped by Valtteri Bottas, I think it was. We'll need to get a replay of that. We've lost the right-hand side of our end plate, and now our race has completely gone down the drain. So Bottas, oh, actually, I think that might have been, you know what? It's so easy to lay the blame on just one person, but to be honest, that is just a racing incident. Hamilton was pinched on the inside, and then he just kind of runs out of space. Yeah, I lent on Bottas there. That's my bad. But then here it resets. We can all make the corner, but Hamilton has gone in too shallow, and his line was all wrong. Lent on Bottas, and then Bottas kind of pinballed off of Hamilton and into me, and I've lost my front wing essentially. And looking at both the Mercedes drivers in photo mode, I'm not including this in the edit, but none of those guys got damage out of that. It was just me. So that is really unfortunate. Red front wing on the front, and that's just going to kill our race. There's no way around that. Just going to cut the chicane here and not get in anyone's way. We're going to go straight into the pit lane, change the tyres, change the wing. It's going to be very, very difficult to overtake around here. So recovering to even the points is going to be very, very difficult. We're going to select our new incoming set of tyres. My initial reaction, my initial thought was to go to mediums and do a 2-stop, but I think the actual best way to go is to go on the hard compound tyres and just see if we can stretch this to the end. I remember Nico Rosberg, I know it was at Russia, which is a much lower tyre wear circuit. He pitted on lap 1 after locking up his tyres and went to the end. I think we can do the same. We've got the car that can do so. So let's see if we can just take the pain early here, get a massive undercut on the midfield runners, and then try and salvage as many points as possible. That's going to be the aim from here. And if there is a safety car, then we'll look at maybe making a pit stop again for mediums or softs, and I don't know. We'll see. Here's the live on board from the replay cameras of George Russell. He still maintains the lead, and like I said, both the Mercedes have no damage to their front wing, so they can press on and challenge George Russell for this win. Still, Sebastian, my teammate, P4, and then we've got both the Red Bulls trailing him in 5th and 6th. So, that's the state of play. We're in P22 at the moment. I think we, at one stage, are about 25, 30 seconds off the next car, and now that's getting under 20 seconds now. So, we got to put in a lot of work here now. A lot of qualifying laps, lap after lap, to get within the pit window of those ahead. Thankfully, a lot of the drivers outside the top 10 are starting on medium, so they're going to go a long time before they make their stop. And I think I'll be able to get in front of all of them by the time that they come in, like halfway through the race. Then we've got the leaders. All the leaders on softs. It might be a 2-stop race for the soft compound tyre runners. And if it is, then we could be in the money. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas rejoining on the circuit. Same too with Sergio Perez. Sergio only rejoins right in front of me. And we're on lap 8? Lap 9? Lap 7. Okay, so even earlier than I thought. There is no way in hell that the likes of Bottas and Perez can go to the end of the Grand Prix on a medium set of tyres. I think even I couldn't on my medium. It might be a stretch, but I really doubt it. So, the leaders might all be on 2 stops, unless they go to hards. Either way, we may not be out of this race. We might be on for a good result yet, based on the state of play. But even the leaders who can go to the end, who are going to run long on their softs or go to hards, whatever, there's a chance that all the leaders can get caught up behind medium compound midfield runners. Kind of like Monaco.
Bottas ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 4.7 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:38.4.
Okay, so that confirms that Bottas is coming in again for a two-stop race. My teammate Sebastian Vettel is in. He's going on the hard compound tyres. You can see heading down into turn 1, they're getting overtaken by medium compound runners. So this race is not over. They're going to get held up behind slower people on slower tyres for the next 5-10 laps. And that could give me the inroads that I need to catch up to them and still recover to a good position in this race. This Hungarian Grand Prix can be a lot like Monaco sometimes. It's very, very hard to overtake. The dirty air, very narrow track, and it just means that you can get caught up behind slower cars for a long time, and doing a two-stop race is going to absolutely kill your pace. Race pace, that is. As you can see, we fly up the inside of Matsushita in the Williams. Fastest car versus slowest car, and we were able to dance around the outside of them. And I think we touched the curb here, which sent me a little bit sideways. It didn't look too dramatic from the outboard shots. And as you can see from Matsushita, that was a pretty good catch, if you don't mind me saying. But anyway, we move on to the battle up the front. This is George Russell, our effective race leader. He's caught up behind about 5 or 6 medium compound runners who haven't stopped yet. And then we have Charles Leclerc, who is leading this race on mediums, who started outside of the top 10. He's got a massive lead. Look at the mini-map in the bottom left. It could be a Ferrari 1-2, or it could be a Charles Leclerc victory over George Russell. And that's all because he qualified in P11. The Ferrari master plan is coming into effect now. We can see a yellow flag in the 2nd to 3rd sector. I think that's one of the Alpha Tauris going really slowly. Not too sure who that is. Might be Pierre Gasly. Either way, we go up the inside of Bottas and nearly get squeezed into the pit wall there. But we got the job done, and we are now up another position. This could be effective P4, P5. I'm not too sure. But here's the replays. It was a very audacious move, as Arava would say. As you can see, going up the inside here. Yeah, it was a late move. But we were there. Bottas turned in. Probably didn't see me. But I'll take that. Another position. You've got to be aggressive in races like this where it's hard to overtake. And you can see getting very, very close to that pit wall. Only millimeters away from disaster. But you've got to take these risks if you want the high rewards of winning a championship, of winning races, podiums, etc. We've got nothing to lose after the first lap incident. I was still a bit pissed off, actually, to be honest. And so, yeah, just wanted to get in front of that Mercedes, and we've done so at a very early stage of the Grand Prix. So let's see what we can do for the rest of this race now. Bottas not looking good in terms of his track position. He's dropped spots to Ricciardo and Verstappen, and he's nearly going to get me back here as we head into the middle sector. A big boy mistake for me there, and you can see I'm really struggling to regain control of the car just for a few seconds there. It was really out of control, but I think we've stabilized things a little bit now, and we can continue to press on. Once again, another yellow flag. Not too sure what that's about. Verstappen with a massive lockup, trying to chase down Mick Schumacher, my former teammate of Season 1. Doesn't that feel like a long time ago? And to go through the final corner, let's see if we can get Ricciardo. We're going to take a really wide outside line and then get a nice exit out of the final corner, up into Rich, and overtake, open the DRS, and now we're going to see if we can get our fellow Australian in the slipstream. Ricciardo is not getting slipstream from those ahead. We're going to go round the outside, but Ricciardo goes up the inside of Verstappen, places him wide. That forces me even wider onto the curb, and Ricciardo has turned defense into attack. Great move from Ricciardo there. And he's up in a P14. Last episode, he pulled off an absolutely weldy move on me around the outside of Cops at Silverstone. And that is evidence of Ricciardo being a well-rounded driver once again. He is a real contender for a teammate next season. He's really impressing me. Anyway, let's see if we can get him. I wonder what Vettel's going to do. Is he going to retire at the end of this season? Something tells me he might. We'll have to wait and see, though. Anyway, seeing if we can set up the same move on Ricciardo. Is he going to overtake another car in an effort to keep me at bay? Into Rich and overtake. Ricciardo is going to get Schumacher here for sure. Or is he? Up the inside of both of them. we take a leaf out of Ricciardo's book, and whatever you can do, I can do better, son. He actually loses a spot to Bottas. We're weaving the wheel in a happy celebration. We're up in the P13. Massive lockup. But we're through. What a race. You would think I'd have to be driving conservatively to make these tyres last at the end. But no, I'm going full send here to get any kind of track position I can back. I need to overtake these guys as quickly as possible so that I can put a gap between myself and the likes of Bottas and Ricciardo, because my tyres may die out at the end. I'm not too sure. Either way, it'll be handy to clear these guys early so I can have a chance at maybe my teammate who's 5, 6, 7 seconds up the road on the minimap. Latifi is up next, trying to get a nice punchy run out of turns 2, 3, and 4. Up into overtake. And I don't think this move is going to happen, even though we're going purple in the first sector. Latifi very, very slow. The Haas is now the slowest car in the field. And it shows. Look at how slow this guy is. Literally feel like I'm being brake checked into some of the high-speed corners. But that is just the lack of downforce of a backmarker car. Let's see if we can get close into Sector 3. Maybe go for a dive into the next right-hander. It's a bit risky, though. So I think we might just wait for DRS. Save a bit of fuel while we're tucked up behind Latifi. I'm not down in lean revs, which is a mistake on my part. There we go. Finally, remember. And now we set up the move. Look at how slow he is through the low speed. Best car versus worst car is on show here through the final corner. It's like he's a GP2 car, but we get the overlap up the inside, and this move is going to be sorted before we even get to the braking zone. Thank you very much. Making nice progress. Who's next on our hit list? It is Alexander Albon, and then we've got Vettel. They're both 5 seconds up the road. Still, we've got 20 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, and we're feeling pretty pacey. Charles Leclerc, our race leader, is finally into the pit lane. And we'll see where he shapes up, but he might be a really good contender for the podium, depending on how much Hamilton and Vettel have been held up in traffic, while, Leclerc's been running on his own for the majority of this race. But it looks like Leclerc has jumped both Albon and Vettel, so effectively, Leclerc is now third in this race. And then up the front, we've got George Russell still leading this race, only narrowly over Lewis Hamilton. That is the state of play in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Leclerc might be a good shout to close up onto the back of Hamilton. He's going to have the best tyres out of anyone, the best pace. So let's see if that game of cat and mouse can really unfold in the dying laps of this race. Here's the battle for the lead. Hamilton much faster than Russell, but Russell has the track position. He's had it all race. He got out a bit of a lead after the first lap incident between myself and the two Mercedes, but since then Hamilton has been reeling him in, but wasn't close enough to get the jump on him in the pit stops. So now he's frustratingly just sitting behind, waiting for that right moment. If the Mercedes is better on its tyres, then there might be opportunities later on in the race. But let's hope that George Russell can stay in front of Hamilton, hold him up, and then drag him back into me. We could well catch up to that fight if we're very lucky, but they are a long way up the road. But our pace looks very good at this stage. As we cross the line, that is a personal best of the race, so 1 minute 15.1. These tyres, these hard compound tyres, have been so durable. The wear is just non-existent almost. The car has been getting faster. The pace that we gain from the fuel being burned every lap is outweighing the amount of wear that the tyres are receiving. So we're just getting faster as we go along. You can see in the slipstream of Albon, and we don't even need to do a desperate dive into turn 1. We were very, very close into the braking zone, and that was an easy move up the inside into P5 now. Next up is my teammate, Seb. Are there going to be any team orders? Given that we're fighting for the championship, my guess would be no. So I'll have to take matters into my own hands. Still, we have Lewis Hamilton on the back of George Russell. Looks a little bit closer, a little bit more pacey. I think that Mercedes is only going to get stronger as this race goes on. Same too with us. We have ultimate tyre wear upgrades. We do have the oldest tyres in the field by a mile, but my tyres are wearing less than some of the lower end teams. As you can see in the slipstream of Vettel, up the inside into turn 1. I caught him napping. I think I caught even you guys napping there. We're into P4, only 1 spot away from the podium now. And this race is looking very tasty. What a recovery as we go up the inside. And watch the right front end plate of Vettel. We just took a tiny little shark bite out of it as we got up the inside. The slightest bit of contact, but I'd say that's clean. That was a great move. Into P4, Bottas finally unleashes his pace now that he's in free air, now that he's not tucked up behind a midfield runner. But because we made all our moves early, we got a gap. It doesn't matter. He can be the fastest car as much as he likes, but he's 10 seconds back or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, 10 laps to go in this race, and we're still so consistent. We're going to dip into the 14s at this rate. At 1 minute 15.1 on the last lap. Bottas, ridiculous pace. Oh yeah, he's made his second stop. That's why he's so fast. So, yeah, he's ridiculously fast, but he's nowhere in this race. So that's the 2-stop for you. Anyway, we're catching up to Charles Leclerc now. He's actually faster than the top 2, but he's just closer to me, given that he did a 1-stop and started, outside the top 10. But we're both catching the race leaders at this stage. Let's see if we can get Leclerc here. He is a long way up the road. Surely not into this braking zone. You can just see how much time we do make up under brakes. So I guess the braking prowess of this car is very, very good, which I am quite surprised about. We only have 1 more upgrade to go, and that is an ultimate brake upgrade. So can you imagine the amount of dive bombs we can be doing once we apply that to our car? But anyway, nice run out of the final corner. This one might be a move that happens. We're a little bit closer this time. We're in dive bombing range, and yes, we do go for the move. We are now on the podium in this Hungarian Grand Prix. What a recovery this has been after being in last place by 20 seconds to the nearest car. Yes, I had just made my pit stop, and everyone else still yet had to make their stops, but this has been the perfect storm of, slower cars getting into decent track position, holding up the faster cars in this field. It has worked out perfectly. Some other people getting the strategy wrong as well, but the tire wear, the consistency, the pace of this car is incredible. I love this car, and I'm not just saying it because I made it, or own it, or paid for it. This car is incredible. It feels so good. Low speed, high speed, mid speed. Decent straight line speed, great under brakes, great tyre wear. There is not a weakness to this car. Maybe fuel consumption. That is a little bit low at this stage. We do need to start making inroads on that. The fuel consumption has been a little bit higher than what I thought it has been up until this point. Still a lap and a half to save. But we have shown in previous instances we can save in excess of 0.6, 0.7 of a lap in a single lap if we just go and lean. So at this stage, we've got to walk that fine line of pace, trying to win this race, and trying to save enough fuel to get to the end. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to push on and try and get into the lead and then save the fuel. Oh my god, I can't believe the scenario we find ourselves in. If we can win this race, this would be my greatest ever comeback. Up there with the greats of career mode races like Malaysia 2013. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we've got a real shot at doing this. We've got such good pace relative to Lewis Hamilton, who is still stuck behind George Russell. This Ferrari is a midfield car, but somehow in Q3, George Russell pulled out the lap of the gods to get pole position and just hasn't had the race pace to back it up. He's still leading this race, holding up Hamilton, doing me an unbelievably well job to keep me in the fight here. We go up into overtake, but we don't use Rich on that straight. We're now using the DRS to keep the top end speed there. We still need to save a bit more fuel as we head on to the last lap next time by. But we now have the chance to get Hamilton. We could even get Russell. We are running out of opportunities though. So on this next straight, we need to get Hamilton. And then somewhere along the way, we need to get Russell to win this race. So let's see if we can do so. Tyre's still actually pretty good, to be honest. I don't know how, but they do. They've been on this car the whole race. which is crazy. Anyway, through the last corner, up into Rich and overtake. We're going to get to see if we can get Hamilton here. He's in the slipstream, and DRS of George Russell. But as we head into turn one, we're out of fuel. We're out of fuel. How? How did I let this happen? I can't believe that I was so stupid to run this lot to... You know what's happened? I don't know if anyone has seen Bathurst 2014, Jamie Whincup running out of fuel in the lead of the race. I'll be honest, I got too greedy in this race. I got far too greedy. I saw the potential of winning this race, the storyline of winning after being in last place and doing an entire race on hard compound tires. I wanted that legendary victory so badly that I was deluded to think that this car could recover enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. Albeit, the consumption of fuel in this race has been a lot higher relative to previous ones. I thought it would have been very easy to get to the end with 2 or 3 laps less fuel, but that has not been the case. I genuinely just got so wrapped up in the moment of winning this race that I forgot, in order to get to the end, first you must finish. All I can do is apologize.
Damn, boy! That's how we do it.
Oh, man. That could have been us. That could very well have been us today. But, can't sulk on it for too long. Gotta say a big congrats to George Russell in what has been a very inferior car as won a Grand Prix. That is mightily impressive. Second race back in F1, and he gets the win. You can't take that away from him. Great job, pole position, victory, did everything he needed to. For us, that's so hard. That is really, really tough to take after, yeah, the first lap incident, which, yeah, fair enough. I felt like I drove the wheels off that thing to recover to where we did. We got on the podium. Then I saw the top 2. And I think when I saw the top 2 and saw how quickly we were catching, the red mist hit me. And I wanted that win. Yeah, honestly, based on previous data, I thought we could get to the end with the fuel. We've recovered stupid amounts of fuel in the past, but for some reason here, it just wasn't happening. But, yeah, again, apologies. But no one, I guarantee no one is more annoyed at that result than I am. As soon as I ran out of fuel on that last lap, I'm like, Ben, you're a bloody idiot. It's just, yeah. So silly. Just a massive miscalculation. Also, I thought, you know, I even thought on the last lap, I can still recover even more fuel on the last lap to get to the end. But, you know, I didn't really think that one through. With 1 lap down on fuel and with 1 lap to go, that I didn't consider the fact that I would run out with like a lap to go. That just didn't cross my mind. Just silly. Anyway, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Could have fueled the car up a bit more and probably still got the same results. But yeah, it's just... I'm so annoyed. So annoyed. You can guarantee that heading into future episodes, we are going to work on the fuel consumption of this car. We're going to do an upgrade there and then not have to worry about that happening again. But honestly, at other Grand Prix over the course of the season, we have recovered enough fuel for like 2 laps down, sometimes even 3 laps down. I think today we were 3 laps down on fuel, but just fell massively short for some reason, which was very, very weird. But up until that point of running out of fuel, I think we drove probably one of the best races ever to recover well. Got helped out by the strategy of some cars held up behind you know, midfield runners, people doing 2 stops, others are on hards. Consistency of this car was very, very good. But yeah, nothing else really that can be said. Dropped a few points today in the championship, but it's still relatively close. I think still 7 points in it in the top of the leaderboard, so the fight goes on into the second half of the season. Summer break will happen in the next episode, and then we'll head into the Belgian Grand Prix, where we will target some upgrades and think about the strategy going forward. And then we're getting to the point where we're going to start seeing potential moves for next season. Driver retirements maybe being announced, or regulation changes. Surely a shake-up is due. We haven't had a regulation change since the end of Season 1. And we didn't have any drivers retire last season, I believe. So I think someone is going to retire here. Could be Seb, could be Lewis, could be me. You never know after that shoddy performance. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless. Some great moves, great overtakes, and probably one of the most interesting episodes, I think, of the season so far. Look at that. We were so close to glory, but we never got there. Next time. Until the next one, guys, the Belgian Grand Prix. I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.